Good evening. It's a pleasure to see you. You see here the MBA class ready to start their studies. It's a direct photograph of this lecture room. All the little smiling faces. We'll soon put a stop to that. So where are we now? As we stand at the beginning of the year, where does the school stand? Well, I think we stand in a relatively good position. We have 2 accreditations of a world standard, and we're very proud of that. We're not complacent, but we're proud of it. I think they're justified, and I'll talk later about some of the challenges that will be presented to us in the year to come. We will soon be putting ourselves up for a 3rd accreditation. And that if we are to get that, and we will, that will be a tremendous thing. Because it will put us into a cadre, a division of business schools where nobody can say that we are not the best. And that will be a wonderful thing. We're also very well respected as a school by some of the most important members of the constituency which we serve. That is business leaders and people in business. And we are fortunate enough this year to have come top as a business school in both of the major South African surveys, the PMR survey and the Financial Mail survey. And these things are transient, right? All this success will pass. Sometime we'll come second. And we won't get upset at that because it's a very close race at the top. But this year we can celebrate that we are top in all of the ratings, and that's a great thing. In an atmosphere of economic uncertainty, we are floating. We are swimming through the water. We're making progress. Right? It would be foolish to describe any academic institution in the world at the moment as buoyant, but we are very much on top of the water and not with the water on top of us. We stand for what is in the eyes of this young man. Just look at his face. He's about to ask you a question you don't want to hear. And that is what we do. We ask the question that should be asked that nobody wants asking. It's called academic integrity. And that is what my school stands for. That argument, the embracing and exchanging of ideas, the paying of respect to someone else's point of view by embracing it, bringing it into your own understanding, deconstructing it, making sense of it. It is an act of respect. We also stand for seeing the world not as linear and singular and simple, but as complex and ambiguous. I see in South Africa, where I see a multiplicity of understanding, a multiplicity of cognition in this fantastic country. It is very difficult to move yourself from a singular position as an outsider to think that there is a single truth in South Africa. That is never the case. We stand for old-fashioned education. I'm sorry if that's inconvenient to other schools. We stand for old-fashioned education. We do not deliver what the airport MBA manuals deliver. What the popular writers would like us to think is all that we need to know about management. It is not all that we need to know. And as a school, we're very engaged in the social agenda. We don't believe as a school that we sit as some isolated academic institution. We live within a society and within a world which needs us to think about the impact of what we are doing. The school stands for. It stands for a whole bunch of people. Some of them are academics, some of them are students, Some of them deliver the mail. Some of them are administrators. Some of them are from the main university. And they all have different jobs. But I'll tell you what, we get our teddy bear. Right? We get the teddy bear. And we work together. We stand for equality of challenge. I'm going to say something difficult for you here. We stand for equality of challenge. You hear a lot about equality of opportunity. But I'm saying beyond that, we stand for equality of challenge. What we stand for here is that it doesn't matter how experienced you are, what your accent is, what gender you are, what religion you are. We don't care. All that matters here is that you can hold your argument. And if you can't hold your argument, the door's over there. I don't care where you come from. Of course I care. Of course I'm sensitive to different trajectories, heterodox experiences. But when it comes down to it, what this place is about is holding your argument. And you will be judged, faculty or student or senior manager or administrator, on whether your argument is sustainable and honest. Just take a look at that lecture room. This lecture room at the moment, all the gaze is in this direction. I'm looking that way, you're looking that way. It's bad teaching. This is great teaching. Look what's happening. They're talking to one another. This shot was taken in the middle of the lecture because the lecturer had invoked dialogue. Not this dialogue, that dialogue. And it is extremely important that we maintain the idea that the learning and the teaching is something that takes place across the room as much as. We have to get people to understand that very often things don't happen as you want. Look at the captain of this ship. Imagine what it's like to be in that situation, or the manager of the fleet. And life doesn't turn out as we want. The world is not simple, it is not linear, it is not to be understood in one dimension. Our job as academics is to fit people to see the world in multiple ways, because they will confront situations like this. Look at the fear in that person's eyes, the panic. It's our job to fit students, and indeed ourselves, with the ability to accept the complicatedness, the fact that risks can come to pass, the duplicity of understanding, the idea, if you put it to certain groups in the world, that the people who crashed into the Twin Towers were at the same time murderers and terrorists, and were sincere religious believers, showing courage. They find it impossible to hold the two things in their mind at the same time. I am not saying which of those positions is right or truthful. What I am saying is that as a mature manager in a complex world, the ability to hold those possibilities of interpretation in the mind is essential for your survival. Here we see a typical full-time MBA student dozing in the afternoon sunlight. The first thing we must do as students is to engage in the debates. You must play your part in this dialectic. You must engage with the other party's idea. There will come a time when you have presented a business case and it is seen not to be good enough. The professor did not smile upon you. Here you see a typical case in this lecture room. Again, it's an actual picture. If we're not making you feel uncomfortable in the most benign way, we're not doing our job. We want to be polite, we want to be supportive, we want to be developmental, but ultimately we too have to ask the question you don't want us to ask. When you have gone through that, you come to the kind of engagement that is positive, developmental, real. So where do we go? We stand at the gateway of a new year, and I think we have an interesting year to come, a serious year. We have 4 main things that I want to draw your attention to. I mentioned before about accreditation. In June, first week in June, we have to represent ourselves for EQUIS accreditation. Again, we're confident. We've done this before. We have the skills, so we have to continue to work together to get this particular teddy bear, which is the reaccreditation of EQUIS. That's the first challenge that we have. The second is an important series of recruitments that we are going to be making. We've had permission from the university, the support of the university, to recruit 2 senior staff. We may well be recruiting another, and getting international figures in, people who can contribute in a rounded way to the senior leadership, to the teaching, and to the research of the school is important. Third thing we need to do is we need to carry out a competitive analysis of our MBA. The demands out there is changing. The demand used to be for part-time, i.e. evening delivered MBAs. That's dropping away. We need to do a diagnosis of what is happening in the buying psychology in the market and react to it. Fourthly, and I can already see the change in the faculty's response to this, is that our research is going to go up. The impact of our research. No one is asking here for more research to be done, but I can already see the effect of a change in ambition in terms of not just in doing good thinking, not just in making a difference to the strategy of a major company, but making the effect of that accessible to other people so that they have more respect for us as individual researchers and more respect for us as a school. Because, of course, there are cycles of support here. If we are good researchers, and after all, our duty as a school is to create knowledge as well as disseminate and apply it, then we will gain more respect and our positions will be more secure, and we will attract better and more interesting students, because that always livens up the day. Lastly, you'll see this year, I describe it as an increase in focus on social engagement. We're a very socially focused school. We stand very high in the international rankings for social awareness, but this year we hope to announce a small number of really very high-profile social engagement projects, one of which Mr. Henny Oliver and I will be starting to build up, which is an ambitious project to bring together a study of stratification, i.e. social layering, in South America, India, and South Africa. What's different is that because we're a South African school, and because there are many South Africans and many people who are interested in the South African experience, we have things to bring to the world. Your collective experiences of the complexities, the layering, the multiplicity of understanding of South Africa is something that you as South Africans bring to the world. Very few managers in the developed countries are as good at accepting the existence of 2 or 3 different views of the world, hypotheses, perspectives, whatever you want to call them, in their minds at the same time. South African managers are at least as good as anybody in the world at that. You can make a difference to whomever you like. You can make a difference to yourself. You can make a difference to your family. You can make a difference to your town. You can make a difference if you're big enough with the world, to the world. And I don't care who you make a difference to, but go and make some difference, please.